For today's practice, you might like to have a block. As you might vaguely remember, you no need to actually have a block at home. A few books, a sturdy cushion, we can replace these things. So do place that preferably straight onto your mat as we begin our practice today in a seated position. Now, I encourage you all, particularly after a longer pause, to take good care of yourself. We had a few mentionings of health concerns. If something else comes up during the practice, please do not apply force or harm to yourself. My intention for this class this week is to raise the energies a bit. So we're moving into a different season. Some of us had lots of challenges in the past, and maybe a good idea to get a more harmonious energy flow into the body. So as you came to sit already, place your hands down upon your legs. Easy pose, unsuitable, just extend your legs out or bring them a bit wider. And we will just randomly rock and move. And I suggest to close the eyes, but if that is problematic today, you can keep them open. And in that case, maybe finding a more steady gaze point so your mind isn't that easily distracted. We're focusing inward and observing in our movements the challenges or changes in the body that might be there or come to mind. And once you've got the opportunity and you feel as if there's a sense of groundedness, then come to sit. Placing the palms of your hands facing upwards and touching your index and thumbs together, Uddiyana Mudra, a mudra that assists us with concentration and brings with a loop the energies in a different way through our hands into the body. We'll begin our practice with a round of chanting. So we'll start with the 3 Oms. Om, our universal sound, as we're looking for harmony and union. On the exhale, we're synchronizing our breath. Inhale for the first Om. Allow for a moment to be still. Observe energies and how sound and voice might create change within. We will keep chanting, but we'll change and add a few other seed sounds for the different energy centers in our body. We will start, this will be shorter sounds with a short Om. Then we add the sound of Lam for the base. The next one is Vam, then Ram, and we'll finish with Yam, which is the sound for the heart center. So it will be Om, Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam. We'll go for 3 rounds and then we'll pause again, observe our energies. Let's begin with the in-breaths for the 3 rounds. Om, Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam. Om, Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam. Om Lam Vam Ram Yam. You might even choose to keep your eyes closed, but you might also choose, and that's no obligation, to remove the block from underneath, place it closer to the front end of the mat, and begin to circle for a few rounds. Then change leg in front and change direction of your circles. And then find yourself more centered in your seat. If you need a block, please keep that underneath. On the inhale, open your arms and your heart space. And as you're breathing out, just bending sideways, reaching your left arm over the head. You might, as you soften into the lower arm, create a bit of a feathering movement, a little bounce in and out of the side body. As we're reaching right into the fingertips, allowing the whole side to lengthen, including a subtle movement into the arm. And then as you breathe in, opening your heart again, come to center and repeat to the other side. I'm still resting that arm down. So yours is over the head. The lower arm is soft. The upper arm is reaching over the head across as you bounce again and feather in and out of the movement. And then take a deep breath and open your heart again. And then come over into a twist to your right. Let the shoulders soften, ground down through the sitting bones. On an inhale, open your heart and arms again. And then swing over to the other side as you're breathing out. Again, pause here, ground into your seat. And then let's take the hand and swing it all the way behind. Lean a little bit back as you bring your feet out in front, touching the soles of the feet together. Place your hands down right in between the legs, feeling the ground underneath as you breathe in, a subtle lengthening through the spine. And as you're breathing out, sliding the hands forward as you're swaying from side to side. And for some, the hands might creep underneath the legs. Keep swaying a little bit, keep moving here, noticing, especially if your hip flexors are tight, that you're not getting frustrated in any shape or form with the forward folds or the back bends for the matter, and whatever else might be happening in your body, just observing, acknowledging and working with it. As you're softening forward now, maybe the head is releasing downwards. And then carefully sliding the hands out from underneath, turning the palms of your hands to face upward. And when you inhale, reach the hands forward and then make fists of fire and pull your knees in as you're rowing backwards. Opening the knees as you breathe in to lean forward and reach. And exhale as you draw the knees together and pull the arms back. And then keep going like this, finding your own pace. As you lean forward, the knees are opening. And as you're leaning back, you're pulling fists and arms back and the knees are closing. One more round. And then holding back here. As you place your fingertips down behind you, draw the feet in a bit closer and lift your heels. Opening the right knee as you follow it with your gaze and closing it. Left knee opens and closes. Now, see if you can stay seated between the sitting bones. So the core is working, and especially adductors and abductors are working here as the legs are opening, getting a bit of core strength into the body. Last one there, and then coming back into center. Let your feet touch again, your knees fall open. Bring your hands back down onto the ground. Inhale. And as you exhale, let the hands slide again underneath the legs. If they get there, add a little bit of a sway from side to side. And notice how when we're starting to repeat postures, there's already a change in the body. It already feels a little bit different, at least. And so, even though we might not be really that aware of it, when we're working with our energy centers, we are creating change, and that gradually manifests then in the energetic body and eventually in the rest of you as well. Let yourself drop back down and release. Take a deep breath and feel that breath moving all the way over your back. And while you may lift your upper body lightly, bringing the hands back up on top, the palms facing upwards. Reaching forward, but I'll give you an extra option. As you're rowing back, you may also bring knees together and lift your feet. As you inhale, land and open the knees. Exhale, rowing it back. So keep that flowing, whether you choose to keep your feet on the ground or lift them, that's up to you. We'll go for one more round. And we will pause. Now, if you have lifted your feet off the ground, please keep them lifted, but place your fingertips lightly behind. We're opening the knee, and if that works for you, feet on the ground is your other option. We'll pull the legs in on an out breath. Now we inhale to touch the knees, open, and breathe out to draw them in. Inhaling, touch. Exhale, open and squeeze. And then keep that flowing for a few rounds. Twisting the boat. A little program in releasing what we don't need and bringing in some energy and strength today. One more to each side, of course. And then take your feet, swing them over, and find your way into a standing forward bend at the front end of your mat. Align your feet to about hip distance. Now, if holding the head low isn't quite yours today, you could rest your forearms on top of the thighs and keep the head in line with your hips. But if you don't, let the upper body hang down and take a hold of the opposite elbow. By hanging down, I mean your belly is resting over your thighs, so the back is supported. And you can then add a sway here from side to side. Again, this is more or less a posture to release, but also to assess yourself in how you're feeling. As you come to center, let your hands drop. On your out breath, gently engage your lower tummy to your tail and begin to roll the spine up into standing. As you raise your arms when you're breathing in, and then let your right arm fall down as you follow the hand with the gaze, leaning across to the side, your feet still parallel, your arm here is hanging down loosely. You might wiggle the whole arm or just the fingers, the hand, and sink in a little bit deeper. And as you inhale, lifting both arms again. And then let the left arm fall as you're bending to the other side. Wiggling again the lower arm. The gaze might be down there. You can take the hand out, the whole arm out if you like. And on the in-breath, lifting the arm again, touching the palms of your hands together. Soften your knees, and as you breathe out, draw the hands all the way down the midline towards the floor. On the inhale now, lengthening the spine forward into a half lift. And as you breathe out, step your knees down onto the mat. Let your hands spread out onto the floor unless your wrists are a bit achy. In that case, you might step up onto your fists. We'll move into some side planking, but with support. As you inhale, let your left leg extend back onto the mat and lift your left arm up. Supported side plank. As you breathe out, land hand and knee back to the mat. Other side, as you inhale, extending and reaching up. On the exhale, landing again. Let's do 2 more to each side, just that. Span yourself open on the inhale and retreat to all fours on the exhale. Nice, slow, deep breathing, but different pace for everybody. We will meet again on all fours. Now for this round, we will start, I'll turn myself around briefly. We'll start with the right leg. While you open your knee out to the side on the inhale, on the exhale, take this knee to the opposite elbow. On the inhale, open the knee, and you can follow your knee with the gaze as well. If you like, draw it back to opposite elbow. Do that one more round. And when you then inhale, extend the legs straight behind. And with the out breath, aiming to bring the foot forward. Now, align the foot, help the foot, however you get there. There's a good gap between the knee and the foot on the floor. I will now ask you to place your right forearm down onto the right thigh. And when you then inhale, lifting your left arm. And on the out breath, as if you're threading the needle, reach underneath your front leg. We'll do that a couple more times. Breath in to lift. Breath out to reach underneath. Inhale to open. Exhale as you reach under, staying low. Let your hand align with the front foot, but there's space between the hand and the foot, and you may alternatively be on your fingertips. Let your right hand come into the side of the waist and then begin to roll your right shoulder back. So we're turning towards our front knee. And if you feel confident here, you may also extend your right arm upwards for a kneeling twisted lunge. Remember, we're practicing where we're at today, hence the many stages, so you can make choices. Let the upper arm swing back down and bring your knee back onto the mat. Take a seat back into a softly extended child's pose. In the child's poses, the head can rest on the floor, but does not have to at all. Let's place the forearms down onto the mat and slide along the mat to lie down on the tummy. Bringing your elbows directly underneath your shoulders and allowing the tops of the feet to ground down at about hip distance. Let the fingers spread out onto the mat and begin to engage your pubic bone into the mat as you're lifting your heart space forward And if you close the eyes or not, doesn't matter, but maybe rolling your gaze up to the third eye point, starting to bring some energy through into the higher energy centers. Inhaling here. With the exhale, let your elbows start to spread, the upper body lower to the mat. Take your hands by the sides of your ribs. On the in-breath, rise up onto your hands and knees, and then stretch back again into your softly extended child's pose. On the next in-breath, coming back up onto all fours. We will now bring the left knee out into the open. As you breathe in, open it sideways. On the exhale, draw your knee to the opposite elbow. Inhale, open the knee. Again, you may look along with your knee and bring it across underneath. One last round. Inhale, open. Exhale, draw the knee across. Then breathe in, extend your leg. Out breath, help the foot or land it forward. We will place the left forearm on top of the left thigh. With the next in-breath, lifting the right arm and reach into the open space. With an out-breath, thread your arm underneath your front leg. We'll do 2 more. A breath in as you're opening the body wide. An out-breath as you reach underneath. And 1 more to go. Breathe in. And we'll stay low at the end of this one. Placing the right hand down at a comfortable distance away from your front foot and yet in line with it. Bring the left hand to the side of the waist and then start to turn your body, turning towards your front knee. If you're happy here, you may extend your arm. Noticing the range of movement your body is presenting itself with today. What is easy, what is rather difficult for you. And then let's swing the arm back down to the mat. We'll tuck the toes under and lift the knee away from the ground. Just step the foot forward and bow back down into the standing forward bend. On the inhale, extend your spine forward, half lift. And exhale to fold again. Now let your knees come into a bend and roll up slowly as you're breathing out. Lifting both arms again as you're breathing in. And we'll let the right arm fall again as we're bending over to the side. Make sure your feet are parallel. And here's the option of bouncing or feathering in and out of a side bend again. So only do so if that feels good in the body. It's there to lengthen the side line of the fascia. And then pause. Bend both of your knees deeply and roll your whole body in and forwards. On your in-breath, lengthening the spine to the front of the mat. On the out-breath, fold. Stepping your right foot back into a lunge and landing the right heel on the mat. If you preferred the previous version, drop your knee down. We'll place the left forearm on top of the left thigh. And while you inhale, let your right arm open up. So in a side angle pose, with your out breath, round your arm underneath your front leg. On the in breath, raise your arm, side angle pose. Exhale and bring it under. 1 more. Inhale as you open. Exhale as you round underneath. As we stay low, place your fingertips a hand down parallel to your front foot. Begin to lift the back heel. Knee can come to the mat for support. Left hand to the waist, and we're starting to turn again towards the knee. If you feel confident here, lift the left arm. But at the same time, draw very gently back with the left hip, so we're not starting to hang in the hips, we're active in our legs. Then release. Hands to the mat. If you prefer to practice on all fours, come with me. Otherwise, step back into a downward facing dog. Your choice. Down dog, you can be on your knees as well for a puppy pose, an extension of the spine this way. Of course, you would extend both arms forward. If you have chosen a downward facing dog, give that a little walk out on the spot. So you begin to pedal into your legs. Move the arms, move the hips a bit. Good. And then from your downward facing dog, we will lift our right leg up on a breath in. On a breath out, taking the foot forward. Take the back foot and step it in to shorten your stance. The stance between the feet, however, is hip distance. Take your hands then up to your shin or your thigh and straighten your spine forward. Now, this is a preparation for a revolved triangle pose. We will place the back of the left hand to the outside of the leg, and we'll bring the right hand to the side of the waist. Now you're welcome to stay here. This is already fairly strong. If you want to twist more, let your right shoulder come back and turn towards the front leg. Keeping a strong stance in both of your feet, and then maybe to raise the arm, but only if you're breathing smoothly, if you're still smiling, and if your energy levels allow you to. Now, while we are close to the front of our mat, we'll bring the right hand back to the waist in case you lifted it. Take a block into your left hand and place the block down in front of you. Now your spine will be long, like in a half lift. And if it feels right, then raise your left foot away from the ground for balance. So basically we're supporting with the left hand on the block, the right foot on the ground. And if it feels good for you, then roll the right shoulder back again, turning to the same side for revolved half moon, where there's another option to lift your arm. So many variations as you try and balance. If the balance is a little bit off today, just see it as a slight turbulence. Let your feet land parallel to each other and bow back all the way down into a forward fold. Taking an in-breath, extend the spine and soften back down to your forward fold. With lower abs on, roll up slowly into standing. I hope you are still choosing. As you inhale, lift both arms. And we will now let the left arm drop as we bend to the side. And there's the option of a bounce. But also feeling into the groundedness through the feet. So the movement of the upper body is well supported. And then bend both of your knees. Roll your arm, shoulder, whole body down to a forward fold. And inhale as you lengthen the spine. And an exhale as you step your left foot back. Lower the left heel to the mat. Alternatively, the left knee can come down. Right forearm goes to the top of your thigh. On the next breath in, lifting your left arm and opening yourself up for a side angle posture. On the out breath, round your arm through and reach it under the front leg. We'll do that a couple more times. Inhale to open. Exhale as you reach under. And the last round. Inhale, open. And exhale, staying low. You can place your left hand in line with the right foot. Lift the back heel or lower the knee. Place the right hand into the side of the waist. And these are all options. Turning the right shoulder back into a higher twist. Maybe extending the arm. While you stay for a moment, gently draw back the right side of the pelvis. Very little, couple of centimeters maximum. So you're feeling the strength again from your foundations, from the floor. Then take your arm back and down, and you can choose now to step back into down dog or to all fours, whatever you're using to practice from. Have a little movement again in the down dog. And then find a centered point in the downward facing dog shape where you're feeling as if you're bearing the weight balanced between the hands and the feet. So neither leaning all the way forward nor backwards. And from this centered point, take a breath in, roll the spine forward as you come into a plank or a kneeling plank. Your tailbone is drawing back towards your heels, no matter your choice. With that, your core is on. And then keep your elbows nice and close and lower all the way down onto the front of the body. Let chin or forehead rest to the mat. And take your arms behind your back. Interlace the hands there and lengthen the arms down your back. As you breathe in, lift your feet, your head to your chest, and maybe your arms as well. And then hold that for a moment. Actively extending the arms backwards and the legs backwards while your chest is lifted. Notice there's changes in the breathing coming up. Inhale, lifting slightly higher. And the breath out as you come to rest. Let your arms flop by your side. Turn one ear to the mat and take a pause. So often in the pauses after the back bends that the energies are really obvious. We'll go for a second round of this back bend. As you bring your arms back behind your back, changing the finger you have on top with the interlace. Then take another deep breath, lifting the head, the chest, the legs, and maybe the arms lifting away from the back. And again, simply holding. Deep extension, light activation of inner thighs, so the legs aren't drifting too far apart. No need to touch them either. Your next inhale, you may lift a little bit further. And then breath out as you surrender again to the mat, arms relaxing by the sides, while the ear comes down onto the floor. And you might connect to the sensation of your heart beating. Oftentimes, we're actually quite good in bringing the energies across our base. But once we come to the heart, there's a different story. A lot of us oftentimes feel kind of disconnected from the higher part of the body. So while you bring your head back to center, place the hands down by your sides, rise to all fours, tuck the toes under, and lift the knees if you're practicing from downward facing dog. With the next breath in now, let your left leg extend back. With your out breath, step the foot in between the hands. Take your back foot to shorten the stance to a meter and place the foot out towards hip distance. Let your hands slide up the front leg while you straighten that leg and lengthen your spine. Now it is the outside of the right hand that goes to the outside of the front leg. And then it's the left hand that goes into the waistline. It's perfectly fine to stay here, to feel the strength in the legs and the reach of your spine. But you may as well turn your left shoulder and start to open. And if that openness is happening and you're still breathing, you can lift your left arm and extend into revolved triangle posture. So that's, I know, quite twisty today. So let's see how often and how intense feels right for you. If you had lifted your arm, bring your left hand back into the waist. Bring a little bend into the front knee. Take the block into your right hand. Step it out in front and begin to trust into the block and the front foot only, so you can raise the back leg. Once it's lifted, flex the foot, toes pointing to the ground. And you could then start to open the left shoulder again. Maybe the left arm is lifting. Aiming to find some kind of balance there in your revolved half moon or Parivrtta Ardha Chandrasana. We're releasing this posture into a softly standing forward fold. With the next inhalation, lengthening your spine forward. With your out breath, bow it down. One more exhalation to roll up to stand. And let your arms reach up as you inhale. Touch the palms once more and take all the energy through the midline down towards the mat. We'll come to sit on our mat, and I suggest to begin with the block underneath again. Taking your legs out in front to a comfortable seated position. Before we continue with some seated and lying down postures, I will gather the energies again. So backs of the hands will rest down, index and thumb on each hand may touch together. As you lengthen through the spine, close your eyes. We'll now add 3 chants of Yum. Yum is the sound of the heart. So only 3 sounds and then a pause. We'll breathe in for the first one. Yum. 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 We'll add another 3 rounds of chanting, which will now be for the upper energy centers. So we will start with a yum for the heart, a hum for the throat, a nom for the third eye, and we add a little pause for the crown. So it will be yum, hum, pause. Let's begin the 3 rounds with the breath in. Yum, hum, om. Yum, hum, om. Yum, hum, om. Observe again your energies. So let the hands release. I suggest to remove the block from underneath and to place it in reach by the side of your mat. To extend your legs forward, but maybe you put a little cushion underneath the buttocks. And then as you flex your feet actively, bring a bend into both of your knees. Let your hands rest upon your thighs. And you can have your eyes closed now for the rest of the practice if you wish. Inhaling here. With the exhale, let your hands slide down the legs. So stay in touch with your skin as you lean with your belly toward your thighs. And very slowly surrender towards your bent legs. So keep the knees in a little bend for now and your toes actively facing the ceiling. So there's still an extension into the back line, but we're not overdoing it. The moment you're feeling there's a pull in your lower back, bring a slightly deeper bend to your knees again. Rather keep your spine long today than straightening the legs. Allow a couple more breaths. And lift about halfway out from where you are right now. Then take your left hand and bring that across to the outside of your opposite foot or leg. Keep your feet in line with each other and take a breath in to bring your right arm back behind. And then hold here in the twist. Your mind is observing that the feet remain parallel, so the twist is just in your spine rather than in your pelvis. And we'll slowly release the right arm from behind and take it across to the other leg or foot. And then a breath in as you bring your left arm back and hold here. Again, be aware of the positioning of your legs, feet, and pelvis. Inhale, and as you exhale, softly melting forward. Whatever that means for you, it's okay to be more or less seated. While we do have the block nearby, and while I do want to allow time for good relaxation, it might be better to put some socks on. If you don't wear socks, that's perfectly fine. And if you're practicing this from a different climate, it would be okay to do the same. Now, jumpers can go on as well if you need them to be. The block is still in reach. You might have your cushioning, bolsters and blankets for relaxation ready as well. Now let's take an inhale, and with the exhalation, we're rolling down onto the mat. Now, if you can't have your legs out long, that's perfectly fine. You can bend the knees and step the feet onto the ground. We'll hug the right knee into the chest and allow yourself to give that a good squeeze. As you next inhale, extend the right leg and take a hold behind the leg, but also start to flex at least your right foot. Holding your leg here straight as is possible, but you may use your arms and hands to start feathering that leg. So we're pulling it in, we're releasing it. There's no harsh movement. It is really just a lengthening here of the back line again that we're after in a soft, caring movement. Pause to hold and aim to relax your shoulders. Then bend your knee again and give it another squeeze into your chest. Releasing the right foot down, maybe extending the right leg. Hugging your left knee into the chest. Keep it for a little while. Squeeze in, notice sensations. And of course, you naturally would compare with the other side. But try and stay away from any judgment. As you breathe in, extend the left leg, take a hold somewhere behind the leg where it's comfortable, and then flex the foot. And you may again begin to balance that light, feathery movement that we're bringing in from hands and arms. And then hold for a little. Bending the knee and giving the knee another squeeze in. Stepping down the foot or even extending the leg. We will allow a moment for an inversion. So take your block, step your feet down onto the mat, and lift your hips so the block can slide underneath your sacrum. Please make sure that it's just parts of your buttocks and the sacrum resting on the block rather than any other vertebrae of the spine. If you feel this is enough for you today, just lifting the hips up, please feel free to stay exactly here. But you may also lift your feet and then gently extending the legs upwards. If that's comfortable for you, you can also let your arms roll open. Now, I will leave it up to your intuition to decide if your feet here need some movement or if you would rather hold them still. If you at any stage decide to hold the feet still, also notice if a relaxed foot position is exactly what you need, or if you would rather want to point your toes, the balls of the feet upwards, or flex your feet. I have chosen mine to relax, but I've moved them before. So all just options. We use the legs a lot in this practice to assist our lower energy centers and to, with that, bring the energy up from the ground. Now it's time to give some of that back. As the legs relax, it may even drain. Let your knees now soften over your chest. Step your foot one after the other back down onto the mat. Let some energy come back into the feet. Then lift the hips to remove the block from underneath as you roll down onto your back. I would love to come into a supported fish from here. We still need the block for the fish. You may roll over to your side or do what I'm doing and sit halfway up, placing the block lengthwise underneath the rib cage at the back, so that the spine from the lower ribs, there sits the block, can align over the block, and you could carefully drop the head. If the head low like this is not good for you, put a cushioning or rolled up blanket under the head. Perfectly fine. Let your arms be open and release, especially if you've got the space to do so. And if your back is feeling fine, a suggestion to try extend the legs, bring them close and lightly point your toes. Now that the lower body is released, we are opening the upper body more directly from the heart, and a little bit still the solar plexus, our sense of self-esteem. But moving the energy into an open throat, a third eye, crown. To release yourself from the Vishamatsyasana, you can either slide your hands lightly under the buttocks, tuck your elbows in and raise to remove the block, or you can roll over to your side if you prefer that. I will remove the block from a slightly lifted position and then recline again. Now, you could slide your feet a little bit apart and check out how your Shavasana feels. If it feels good as is, you can stay. If you want any support or a bend in the knees, you may do that. And your arms will be falling away from the body. That is possible. As you come into stillness, now knowing that the seat sound of the crown or Sahasrara chakra is actually silence, you might start with an awareness right there at the top of the head. And then draw the energy right down into your heart center. Feel everything from your heart center expanding outward. A harmony of energies within and around you. If you like, you can return to the silence, the observation of your breath. If you like, you could also start to visualize colors. As you move the awareness from the feet to legs to lower pelvis, visualizing the color red to support you. Moving the energy from there towards the sexual organs, the lower part of abdomen, the upper part of the pelvis. A sense of orange spreading there. Moving the awareness up in the direction of the solar plexus, area above the navel. The color yellow spreading here. As you move your energies up further with your awareness, you come to the heart region. Whether you feel drawn towards the light green or soft pink, as you feel this area with the relevant energies. You move your awareness up from there, you come to the area of the throat. Sense of speech and truth of speaking. Light blue spreading. And the deeper blue is what you draw in when you think about the space between your eyebrows. third eye point, where we look beyond our eyes' abilities. We come to the crown of the head and the space that lies beyond the crown of the head. If you like, you can visualize a white light coming through the crown of the head, moving into your whole being, spreading this light, as well as healing wherever it is needed. You may stick with that idea for a bit longer. Allowing a sense of harmony and balance to arise within. To reconnect to this body on the mat. Keeping that sense of balance within as you notice your breath again. Deepening your breathing. As you notice the movement that creates in the physical body. Stay connected to movement, body, breath, and energy. Expand your movements if you like, and even have a stretch if that feels good. And then join me in a seated position when you're ready. Bringing hands to touch in front of the heart. Keep a subtle lift of the heart towards the hands. To complete our practice with just one universal sound of Om. So we exhale to synchronize the breath. Inhaling for the Om. From our hearts, with an extending to each other. Namaste.